Maybe I'll directly lead the translation, then come to this. Translation purport by His Divine Grace S.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. In the previous birth, I was known as Maharaj Bharata. I attained perfection by becoming completely detached from material activities through direct experience, and through indirect experience, I received understanding from the Vedas. I was fully engaged in the service of the Lord, but due to my misfortune, I became affectionate to a small deer so much so that I neglected my spiritual duties. Due to my deep affection for the deer, in my next life, I had to accept the body of a deer. Purport. The incident herein described is very significant. In a previous verse, it is stated, Vinamahat Padasa Rajobhishekam. One cannot attain perfection without smearing the dust from the lotus feet of an exalted devotee on his head. If one always follows the orders of the spiritual master, there is no question of falling down. As soon as a foolish disciple tries to overtake the spiritual master and becomes ambitious to occupy his post, he immediately falls down. Yasya prasadat Bhagavat prasado, yasya prasadat nagati kutopi. If the spiritual master is considered an ordinary man, the disciple surely loses his chance to advance further. Despite a very rigid life in devotional service, Bharat Maharaj did not consult a spiritual master when he became overly attached to a deer. Consequently, he became strongly attached to the deer and forgetting his spiritual routine, and he fell down. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Nena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Maum Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namini Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarini Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanyaya Namne Gauratvishe Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Hare Krishna. So this section is very important in this fifth canto. The discussion between King Rahugana and the Jadabharat. Because here Jadabharat is explaining what made him to become such a situation, to come into such a situation as Jadabharata in the previous life as deer, from such an exalted situation where he was situated, practicing, giving up everything, whole kingdom, family, all the wealth, but giving up such a huge, so much thing, but he got attached to a small deer. He might have had so many elephants, horses, so many other animals in his kingdom. He gave up everything there, but he came to the forest where he got attached to a small deer. So that's why in the purport, we'll see Prabhupada is mentioning here. Of course, here is mentioned how he achieved that detachment at the first instance in his life when he left everything and came to forest to meditate. Vimukta Drishta. So he was known as Aham Pura Bharato Nama Raja. So I was named Bharata, King Bharat previously, Pura in the previous year. I was known as King Bharat Maharaj. Vimukta Drishta, how he got detachment? Drishta Shruta, by direct experience. Personally experienced means seeing, observing the world, how it is dangerous, how is binding. So it says that I attained perfection by becoming completely detached from material activities through direct experience, that is drishta, and shruta, and through the indirect experience which I received, uh, understanding from the Vedas. Means by studying the Vedas also he understood that how this world is entangling. So he wanted to get detached. So that's how by direct experience and from reading from the Vedas scriptures, he got detachment and he left his kingdom. So then he was fully engaged. So we know the whole story. We might have heard many times. Here it is slight distraction. It all began, any big disaster begins with a small thing. Just like a big buildings also collapses because a small crack which is not taken care in the foundation. Also, the big ships will sink because a small hole crack is there in the ship, the bottom, if we don't take care of that. So eventually it may become the cause of sinking the big, huge ship also. So similarly, in the life of Bharat Maharaj, it was just like ordinary small deer, but he just began with getting attached to it and slightly neglecting his sadhana, which is daily he was doing in the forest. So gradually it came to such a situation that he neglected completely his sadhana, meditation, whatever he was doing in the forest, and became completely attached to deer. He whole focus turned from his the purpose he came for the forest, and completely it has changed all his the focus to that small deer, taking care of that deer, always thinking of that deer, what will happen to that. So in such a way, he neglected completely his spiritual duties. In the purport, we see if one always follows the orders of the spiritual master, there is no question of falling down. I'll come to this discussion because I thought this aspect we'll discuss more. And also, this as soon as a foolish disciple tries to overtake the spiritual master and becomes ambitious to occupy his post, he immediately falls down. One is trying to take the position of the spiritual master. That means one who is correcting the spiritual master. One takes the position of the spiritual master by correcting him, his instructions, or denying the instructions of the spiritual master. We have the example from Chaitanya Charitamrita, where these two personalities, the disciples of Sri Madhavendra Puri, one is Ishwar Puri and Ramachandra Puri. The exact opposite way they have dealt with the spiritual master. So when Madhavendra Puri was at the end of in the old age, where he was uh, bedridden due to his health, at that time, and the both were there together with Madhavendra Puri, Ishwar Puri, and Ramchandra Puri. During that time, Madhavendra Puri, out of separation from Srimati Radharani, he was crying and remembering how, when will I, see them? That time, uh, Ramachandra Puri, he told, why are you, if you are saying that you are liberated, why you are crying? You should meditate on Brahman. So he was instructing his spiritual master Madhavendra Puri. He's saying that why are you crying? His sentiment. You should meditate on Brahman because he started associating with the people who are following Jnana Marga. So that's why his understanding became covered, the understanding of the devotional service, and he has developed the understanding of Jnana more, Jnana tendency. So then he instructed his spiritual master, and the spiritual master Madhavendra Puri became very upset with this behavior of the Ramchandra Puri, and then he sent him away from that place. But other hand, here Ishwarapuri, he served very sincerely, very lovingly his spiritual master at the stage, cleaning his whatever stool and urine where because he was bedridden, very old age, cleaning everything and then chanting and reading for him, speaking the pastimes. He made the whole atmosphere very surcharged with you know Krishna Katha. So that pleased Madhavendra Puri so much that he blessed him. But on the other hand, Ramachandra Puri, because he displeased the spiritual master, he didn't follow the instructions of the spiritual master. So he has developed he lost interest in a spiritual life, and then he has developed material desires in him, and then he started finding fault with Vaishnavas. So this is what happens: a person who neglects the instructions of the spiritual master, or who tries to correct or takes the position of the spiritual master, that one loses interest in one's spiritual life. So Madhavendra Puri he's become completely disinterested in spiritual life. He's just going on and criticizing devotees. We see that incidents. Jagadadanda Pandit, he saw that Lord Chaitanya and Paramananda Puri, and then one more devotee who were there in Jagannath Puri. He saw them and then he invited them for prasad at his home. Then he served everybody. At the end, Ramchandra Puri told Jagadanand Pandit to eat, and he served him so much. At the end, then later he criticized Jagadanand Pandit, even Lord Chaitanya, that no sannyasi should be eating less, but here you are all eating so much more than required. So that way he offended Lord Chaitanya also. Though Lord Chaitanya respected him because he is his guru's god brother, as spiritual master he respected in that stature, but Ramchandra Puri criticized, and that's how he lost all the desires for spiritual life and then developed material desires and then kept on increasing more and more, criticizing devotees and going away from the spiritual master. And also, why, if you see all these things, why one fails to follow the orders of the spiritual master, or what makes a person not to take the spiritual master's instructions seriously in one's life? Because one fails to perceive the presence of the spiritual master in those instructions which spiritual master has given to the disciples. Because we might have heard Prabhupada saying that there was never a time that I was away from my spiritual master. So how it is? Then Prabhupada said it is because I always was meditating on the instructions of the spiritual master, how to execute, how to fulfill those instructions. Otherwise, people who doesn't follow or execute the instructions of the spiritual master is that they don't understand the instructions either or underestimate the value of the instructions of the spiritual master. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, in the beginning, before preface, where he's dedicating that work of Srimad Bhagavatam, the last line, Prabhupada writes in the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, the instruction about Bhaktisiddhanta, he's dedicating that to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Bhagavatam. And then he says that he lives forever by his divine instructions, and the followers live with him. Means whoever follows those instructions, they always live with the spiritual master. So that's why Srila Prabhupada said that there was never a time that I was away from my spiritual master. Because otherwise sometimes we miss, we have this saying that out of sight, out of mind. When we don't see the spiritual master and we don't see the instructions in front of us, that we forget it. But also in the other way, in the spiritual life, we see that the separation separation also makes that relationship very intimate. But that will happen only when we understand the value of that instructions or the personality. If we don't understand, then the separation will only become more and more. Separation means the distance becomes more. But when we have understand the value of that person, the greatness of that person, then that separation also becomes very deep connection. And the spiritual master's instructions are non-different from the instructions of the Supreme Lord, because spiritual master or the Supreme Lord continues to exist in their instructions. That's how one feels the presence of the Guru or spiritual Lord, by following, by executing, by meditating on those instructions which is given by the spiritual master. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati once told, did you see in the in the Mayapur, in that Gaudiya Math? I said the disciples were wondering, no, what to see? What did we see? What to see? So just now the party of Sankirtan party of Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda just crossed this street. So he was always meditating on the instructions of the spiritual master. He was meditating on the Supreme Lord. So he could witness the pastimes which is happening, because even now today the eternal Leela and Aprakata Leela is still happening in the holy dhams. That's why we're recently hearing, even in the Vrindavan Seva Kunj, I heard that even today no person goes in the night. Every day pastimes happens there. Leela, it is happening. Because the Lord's presence, the Lord's pastimes are eternal. It is always happening. In Chaitanya Bhagavata and Madhya Leela, and there's a verse which says, Adyapiha sei Leela Karagaura Rai Kona Kona Bhagyavan Deki Parapai. Let me show it. I don't know if it is there. Okay. Adyapiha sei Leela Karagaura Rai Kona Kona Bhagyavan Deki Parapai. Today also Lord Gauranga is performing his pastimes, and who can see? Only few fortunate persons who is able to see those pastimes. Because one who is always meditating, completely absorbed in the Lord's instructions, they will be able to witness, see the presence of or the pastimes of the Lord. So how can we see then the presence of the spiritual master in the instructions? Of course, it's a great art. Just by engaging in the service of the spiritual master and by following, executing the instructions, which invokes a very deep sense of presence of the spiritual master in one's life. Because for us, it is very important uh, feeling the presence of the spiritual master in his instructions, because by the passage of time, by the waves of time, uh, our spiritual masters, they're already physically old. So, in a matter of time, they may disappear from our vision. And it is going to happen to all of us. So, that time, we cannot say, those spiritual master is there, I cannot follow the instructions, I will leave. Just, during when Prabhupada disappeared from this world physically. So that time, many of Prabhupada disciples who were only attached to his, the physical appearance, left the movement. They could not see any other connection. They could not see the connection with the Srila Prabhupada, with the instructions which Prabhupada gave them. Many people left, the movement. But those who even did not meet Prabhupada physically, His Holiness Niranjan Maharaj was saying that when devotees asked, Maharaj, how many times did you personally meet Prabhupada? So he said zero. Zero times. He never met Prabhupada. But he understood the essence of the relationship with the spiritual master is by following the instructions of the spiritual master. So he is still continuing. He never had any personal interaction with the Prabhupada, but he is following the instructions of the spiritual master. So he is continuing that service and expanding. Because these personalities, those who are guiding us, nourishing us, and by whose mercy we are made of. So at one point of the time and in our life, they are going to disappear from our vision in this world. So at that time, how will we continue with same enthusiasm and vigor in our practice of devotional service? How can we continue to feel their presence? And we can see and understand from the life of the great personalities, great acharyas, how did they do in their life? How did they uh, felt the presence of the spiritual master by executing their instructions? So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu got his instructions from his spiritual master, Ishvara Puri. What is the instructions of Lord Chaitanya? What instruction did he get? He told him that in Adi Leela it comes. मूर्ख तुमी तुम्हार नाही का विरंता अधिकारा कृष्ण मंत्र जप सदा यही मंत्र सा. Simply chant the holy name of Krishna. You, you don't have to do anything. Just chant the holy name of Krishna. Don't study Vedas. You are not qualified to study Vedas. Of course, he is the Supreme Lord, but to exhibit that principle of following the instructions. So his spiritual master told him, and Lord Chaitanya followed those instructions so rigidly that you see that Lord Chaitanya did not write many books. What is contribution in terms of writings of Lord Chaitanya is Sikshastakam. But otherwise, he always, his preaching is chanting. He did not know much, any other thing. He just chanted, because that's what his spiritual master instructions. So he's exhibiting that principle of following the instructions of the spiritual master, by which one always remembrance no, evokes the remembrance of the spiritual master. And if you see, Lord Chaitanya has instructed his disciples, his direct disciples, the six Goswamis. What is the instructions they have got? Six Goswamis got many instructions. Lord Chaitanya said, because I have promised to my mother, Sachi, that I will not go to Vrindavan. That was the request of Mother Sachi. And I will be staying in Jagannath Puri. But I wanted to establish the temples, uncover the no the places of the pastimes of the Lord, and then spread this message of Sankirtan, which I cannot do because I have promised to my mother. So I want you to do. So this is my instruction. So Lord Chaitanya gave the instructions of the spiritual to these six Goswamis. This is in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Jalila, chapter. Just a minute. It is 79. Okay. Are you able to see this? This is incidents when Sanatan Goswami wanted to commit suicide. He is going to meet the Lord Chaitanya in the Puri. So that time, Lord Chaitanya is instructing him, telling him, Bhakta Bhakti Krishna Prema Tattvera Nirdara Vaishnavera Krityara Vaishnava Achara. You shall have to ascertain the basic principles of Bhakta devotee, Bhakti devotional service, Prema love of Godhead, Vaishnava duties, Vaishnava, Vaishnavera Kritya, their actions, how they should, what they should be doing. And the Vaishnava characteristics, their behavior. Vaishnava Achara. And one more. Krishna Bhakti Krishna Prema Seva Pravartana Lupta Tirtha Uddarara Vairagya Sikshana. And also what should they do? Krishna Bhakti, devotional service to Krishna, they have to establish and spread. And Krishna Prema, love for Krishna, devotional service. Pravart and Lupta Tirtha Uddara. So they have to excavate the lost places of the pastimes of the Lord. So they have to rediscover it and establish those places of worship. And Ara, what else? Vairagya Shikshana. Instructions on the renounced order of life. So these are the things which Lord Chaitanya instructed them. Goswamis to establish. If you see that the basis of the Goswamis' life became these instructions, these two slokas. And what all they did is follow these instructions throughout their life and making all these instructions what I call manifest according to the Lord Chaitanya's desire. So all these great temples we see in Vrindavan, all the tirthas, all the kunds, is all established by these great personalities. And the literatures, so much literature, Rupa Goswami, Jiva Goswami has manifested. Of course, Sanatana Goswami also. Because they always followed the instructions, or they always meditated those instructions, how to fulfill those instructions. That's how they felt Lord Chaitanya's presence always. And then we see in the life of our dear Srila Prabhupada, He also got instructions. As I was mentioning in the beginning, he said that there was never a time that I was away from my spiritual master, because he always contemplated how to execute those instructions. When did Prabhupada get the first instructions from the spiritual master? Which year? Some of you can. Hare Krishna. So somebody is here. In 1922, at the first meeting uh, in the Ultadanga Junction in Kolkata. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, as soon as they paid obeisances about Abhay Charan and his friend Narayan. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati said that you are a young, educated, English-speaking man. Why don't you take this message of Lord Chaitanya and spread all over the world? And these instructions, of course, the later on Prabhupada gave also the other instructions, the printing books. These two instructions become the basis of Prabhupada's life. So he meditated, contemplated, tried to execute in so many ways these instructions. And if you see Prabhupada's life, from that time, from 1922, it is said that he began ISKCON movement in 19, established ISKCON in West in 65. It took almost 40 years, 42 years to fulfill those instructions in full-fledged. Even that time also, not all the books were there when he began ISKCON. It was only first canto Srimad Bhagavatam was there. And then we see that how Prabhupada also gave instruction to his disciples, and they also have executed these instructions. We see that great, the gurus and sannyasis we have in the movement, the devotees, Prabhupada's disciples, how they executed each and every instructions which they have received from Srila Prabhupada. We have great examples of, we have the Mayapur, His Holiness Jayapatak Swami Maharaj. Prabhupada told him, Jayapataka, so Mayapur is for you. You take it, develop it, and enjoy. So Maharaj from the scratch, initially it was all the paddy field, only small hut they made. Now you see how it is manifesting. Because they have, these great personalities have worked hard and contemplated how to manifest those instructions, how to make the instructions of the spiritual master reality in the life. So they had done. His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj. So Prabhupada gave me, you take out whole India, especially the book BBT. You see, Maharaj has manifested beyond the expectations of Prabhupada. Maharaj has fulfilled, and he's still doing it by his instruction to his disciples. The same thing they are also giving. And we see the Jayapatak Maharaj. Sometimes we don't understand what is the importance of those instructions. But it will take time, when at the appropriate time it will be manifested. Just like His Holiness Jayapatak Swami Maharaj is always telling devotees to do this Bhakti Shastri course, Bhakti Vaibhav course, all the courses which Prabhupada has recommended that devotees should do. And we may not understand that. We may take it, oh, who will do these courses? At least those who have the ability or capacity to do that, they should take it and do it. Because we may not understand the importance of that now, but as we go ahead on our spiritual life, it will be manifested to us how important these instructions. Of course, it's not just getting the degree certificate, but to scrutinizingly study the scriptures and understand, because studying the scriptures also is just like Maharaj is giving instructions. By following that instruction, we are actually living with our spiritual master. So the impact of following that instruction, the blessings which is coming from the spiritual master, because we followed that, we will not be able to understand the greatness of that. Only those who are following, they will be able to realize those instructions. And there are many devotees, Tamal Krishna Maharaj, Bhakti Charu Maharaj, Prabhupada gave them instructions and they have made it reality. So these are the powerful ways that by following the instructions of the spiritual master and meditating, we can feel the presence of the spiritual master. Otherwise, there is a danger, just like after Prabhupada left, many devotees left. So we may not feel that much enthusiastic to follow the instructions or even to do our regular duties of as devotees. The regulative principles also will become difficult when we don't see the connection with the spiritual master through their instructions. So one more aspect also, why don't we take the instructions seriously? Because we don't understand the value of the instructions, or we underestimate the instructions of the spiritual master. And sometimes one may feel that no, I didn't get direct instructions, or I didn't get any specific instructions, or somebody may say no, I got only one instruction, I have completed it. But there is always a scope to expand the instructions. Just like Prabhupada got instructions, two instructions mainly, that is preach in English language to the Western audience, the English speaking audience, and print books. Whenever you get money, print books, and also make devotees, means initial disciples. So Prabhupada could have just went to one country or one city and preached and then said, yes, I have done. I have preached in English language and in the Western audience. I'm done with it. Or Prabhupada could have just printed one or two books and then said, yes, I have fulfilled my spiritual master's instructions. Or Prabhupada could have initiated one or few disciples and then said, yes, I have made devotees. But Prabhupada did not stop there, because instructions of the spiritual master are unlimited. We can expand it. There's no limit to the instructions of the spiritual master when we want to follow it. So Prabhupada went on to write so many books, and Prabhupada did not get time to write. Otherwise, I don't know how many books Prabhupada would have published it. Even the last stage of his life, on the bed, before leaving, few hours also, he was dictating, translating Srimad Bhagavatam. Can you imagine if Prabhupada would have stayed few more years? Because Prabhupada wanted also write one more commentary on Bhagavad Gita. Prabhupada wanted to write on Ramayana, Mahabharata. How many more books we could not, we may not be able to imagine. Because he didn't consider that this is the limit. No, I just completed the instructions, means followed the instructions of the spiritual master. No, there is always how to make it manifest, just like Goswamis also did. And then Prabhupada could have just stopped at one place. He went to, of course, just in New York, the first place he went, Boston. He could have preached and then come back. That's all I have done. But you see, Prabhupada has traveled all over the world 14 times preaching. Prabhupada did not get time. Prabhupada never had a jet lag. So his enthusiasm to follow the instructions of the spiritual master was unimaginable. How much it is. One cannot even comprehend enthusiasm of Prabhupada. So he has exhibited that throughout his life by sleeping only a few hours, always thinking of how to execute those instructions. So this is how Prabhupada has executed those instructions, and he never felt that instructions are only this much. I am completed it. So we have scope, even if we don't have instructions, direct instructions, like Prabhupada got. But in general, whatever the spiritual master, of course, at the time of initiation, we get those instructions to follow. Chanting Hare Krishna attentively, 16 rounds. and then following four regulative principles. These instructions are, if somebody is able to follow this itself, meditating on these instructions, making these principles, means following these principles, making refine in our life, how attentively I can chant, how nicely I can follow by my uh, thoughts, words, and actions, these four regulative principles. That itself will please our spiritual master so much that we receive so much blessings because of sincerely following that. Other than that, we are hearing our spiritual masters, lectures. Even in the public lectures also we get instructions, because what spiritual master is speaking is giving instructions to his disciples only. When the even it is a public, it is not just entertainment. Spiritual master is speaking everything. What spiritual master is giving the instructions only. All this is Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Sparanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Phadanam, Sakyam. All these things are spiritual master speaking. So when we take those instructions in the whatever is given in general public, when general lecture also, it can be our instructions. Because even for Prabhupada said it was not that Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati gave those instructions to me only. There are many other audience also there. It was for everyone. So similarly, we can also, if somebody feels that no, I don't have personal instruction, definitely by hearing one lecture of our spiritual master, we can get so many instructions, out of which we can take one or two also and follow. That will be really pleasing to the spiritual master. And one more thing is that we may forget the instructions which is given, or we may not be able to follow the instructions which is given to us immediately, but just like but it can be instructions may be delayed, but it can never be denied. His Holiness Giriraj Swami Maharaj was mentioning once in the lecture in Pune. So he was saying, Prabhupada gave me instructions to write books because he saw that no, I am good in my English. So Prabhupada told me, I will train you. You train under me. I will train you to write books, and you write books. Then Maharaj made is ready to get trained by Prabhupada. He got his books, notebooks, diaries, pens, everything. And then later on, because of different services, so somehow he was not able to fulfill those instructions. And in between, Prabhupada would ask him, so how is your writing work going on? So he could not give any tangible result to Prabhupada. On few occasions, Prabhupada asked him, but Prabhupada emphasized him that importance of writing books. So he took that instruction so seriously, but he could not execute it because of the kind of services Giriraj Maharaj was having. Initially, it was do Sankirtan, but he was traveling. He was not able to get time. And then later, when he came to Juhu, initially it was all visiting the what you call donors, cultivation, fund collection, so much that, and then a lot of this Mr. N case difficulties, Juhu there, he could not do. And recently, when Maharaj has published this book, Juhu, about Juhu, so he was mentioning that Prabhupada gave me instructions, but I could not fulfill it that time. But now I am trying to make it. But you see how much the work is so. And there are some other books also Maharaj is writing now, and he has written. So instruction may be delayed due to the circumstances, but like Prabhupada also, for 40 years he could not fulfill those instructions, but he made it manifest later. So because of circumstances, we may not be able to follow that, but we should ultimately make a way to execute those instructions. And of course, we should also understand the instructions of the spiritual master in its essence, what it means. Sometimes the instructions may be just like Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. He told that my spiritual master gave me 3 instructions, which is he told never initiate disciples. Gaur Kishore Das Babaji told him, never initiate disciples, never associate with materialistic people, and never go to Calcutta. But if you see Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, he initiated so many disciples, and he always was looking for the great people, means the influential people, the governors or the kings, to meet them, make them devotees, preach to them. And then he practically everything was running. Gaudi Math was from the Kolkata, that Bag Bazaar temple. Then Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, all the disciples were shocked to hear this because it is looking exactly opposite or contradictory to the spiritual master's instructions which he got and what he did. So then Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati told his disciples that I followed my instructions of the spiritual master perfectly, because he said that I never initiated disciples because I always considered all the devotees whom he initiated as the representative of his spiritual master. In the same mood, Prabhupada also said that, no, you are all representative of my spiritual master. You are coming and helping me, assisting me. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati told the same thing, that I never considered that. That's why he would call them, address them as Prabhu. His disciples also, he would address them as Prabhu. So that's how he saw his disciples as the representative of his spiritual master. That's why he followed that instruction, never initiate disciples, and then never associate with materialistic people. So he was not associating with those people to get any things from them. What is the meaning of here? Not associate with materialistic people. Don't get their consciousness, or don't take materialistic things from them. Association. Don't take their association. Means that is the principle there. So, but on the other hand, what Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati did is he gave his association to them, the Vaishnava association, with which many people's life also got transformed, big people also. So he never took association, but he gave the association. The third instruction is never never go to Kolkata. So he said that I always, when he was in Kolkata, he never went to any city there. He stayed in that temple, Bagbazar temple. And because he said, I consider this temple, the deity's lordship is there. This is non-different from the embassy of the spiritual world. This is same as Vaikuntha or Golaka. So that's why I am not living in Kolkata, but I am in the spiritual world. So he said, that's how I followed the instructions of the spiritual master. Understanding the essence of the principles, the instructions. Just like Ramanujacharya also, after traveling 17 times to Tirukostiyur, so he got instructions from Goshti this Om Namo Narayanaya, that mantra, I think. So he came, and then his spiritual master told him, never tell these instructions to anybody, means this mantra, don't reveal it. But just came out of the home of the spiritual master, he openly, publicly, gave this mantra. But at the first incident, his spiritual master became angry after him. But when he understood the heart of his disciple, Ramanujacharya, he expressed why he gave this mantra freely to everyone, means openly. Then his spiritual master felt so happy, and then he felt that no, Ramanujacharya is more compassionate than him. He fell at the feet of Ramanujacharya, asking him to become his spiritual master. So he understood the essence of that instructions. So this how one can understand the value of the instructions of the spiritual master, and also feel the presence of the spiritual master in those instructions in a way that there is no chance for us to get deviated or forgetfulness of our the practice of devotional or devotional practices, just like here Jada Bharat, Bharat Maharaj, he is saying, the purport Prabhupada mentions that he could not consult his spiritual master and he could not remember the instructions of this. Of course, the who is the spiritual master, it is not mentioned there, but it said that in the purport that he, also in the text says that he got detachment by Drishtashrita, by direct experience and by reading the scriptures. But of course, he didn't consult anybody there. But here for us, we have opportunity to seek guidance from our spiritual master or the spiritual master representative, our mentors, counselors, caregivers, and also the spiritual master is also available in many of the devotees' life to follow these instructions. And by, in a sense, by always meditating on the instructions of the spiritual master, how to manifest those instructions, how to follow those instructions. Definitely, there may be difficulties in following, but often we can take guidance from our superiors, the devotees who are helping us, guiding us in our Krishna consciousness, to how to follow those instructions in our life and make our life successful, not to get deviated and distracted, even such a petty things of this world, just like Bharat Maharaj. So we have that opportunity, abundance in the organized practice of Krishna consciousness or bhakti, devotion, in environment just like ISKCON, how Prabhupada established it, that we have so much levels of support for us to execute these instructions. So I just summarize what we have just discussed. So initially, I was mentioning that why one fails to follow the instructions of the spiritual master, because doesn't understand the value of the spiritual master, or does underestimates the spiritual master, or considers the spiritual master to be an ordinary person. So just like I was giving example of from Chaitanya Charitamrita, Ramchandra Puri, and the contrast is Ishwar Puri, how they served. So Ramchandra Puri developed material desires and started criticizing devotees, and his devotional service is covered by offending or uh, correcting the spiritual master, not following the instructions of the spiritual master. But Ishwar Puri did it and he got blessings. So also I was saying that these instructions one fails to follow because we don't see the presence of the spiritual master in those instructions, or the presence of the Lord in the Lord's instructions. And in our life, as time passes, the spiritual master may disappear from our vision. So that's why we need to develop that relationship with the instructions of the spiritual master also, so that we can always feel the presence of the spiritual master while executing or while contemplating, meditating on those instructions. Then we saw how Lord Chaitanya and followed his instructions. Lord Chaitanya's disciples, six Goswamis, they followed instructions, and then Srila Prabhupada, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati followed, and Prabhupada's disciples also followed. In that way, we also have the same opportunity, just like all the acharyas, great personalities have followed, following those instructions, and then perfect our life, and then be saved from the distractions of this world. Just what Bharat Maharaj has, of course, Bharat Maharaj, it was also not his mistake, it was also orchestrated by the Lord, to show the example how even such a advanced stage person who is neglectful for a small details also, small things also, it's all begins with the small thing, the crack, then it can open big way, everything will collapse. So we should be careful while following the instructions. At the same time, we should be protected from such falls of neglecting the instructions, or criticizing the devotees, or undermining the value of the instructions of the spiritual master. Then we'll be saved from these dangers. Hare Krishna. So I would pause here. Devotees have any comments? Of course, this is I heard from Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Karunamurti Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you very much for very nicely narrating the importance of valuing and following the spiritual master's instruction. Thank you, Prabhuji. He nicely put in the context of our life, because we are not able to meet the spiritual master often in person. But also you mentioned that, the instructions that is given in general, that could be, meditated and absorbed upon our daily life. Thank you, Prabhu. Devotees may unmute the line and share the comments or questions.
Yes. Somebody want to add anything? You may add or comments.
No, Prabhu, I don't have to add anything. Only comments. It is so nice. Prabhupada's devotees, I think their hearts were like clean slates, where Prabhupada has written the things which they've taken it to heart. Unlike us, especially me, it's my heart slate is not clean, and it is difficult. I have to wipe it and then I have to rewrite. It takes time, and very nicely you explained about the instructions of the spiritual masters. I try to follow sincerely, and thank you very much for the wonderful class, Prabhu. That was enough.
Hare Krishna. So
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, Hare Krishna.
Sachidanand, Prabhu.
Thank you for a wonderful class, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. I just want to share one words actually.
Please.
You are mentioning about the instruction of Guru Maharaj, spiritual master.
Yes.
Okay. I just came in mind, when you don't follow the instruction of spiritual master, we'll have attraction towards Maya.
Yes.
Okay. When your attraction towards Maya, your distractions start from your spiritual life.
Correct.
When distractions start, a distraction happens.
Yes.
So instruction, attraction, distraction, and destruction.
Yes. This is what happened with the Bharat Maharaj's spiritual.
Yeah. Simple. Thank you, Prabhu. I just want to share.
Repeat once more, Prabhu. Just repeat once more.
Prabhu, Hare Krishna.
Just repeat once, Prabhu.
If you don't follow the instruction of spiritual master, there'll be attraction towards Maya. When you are attracted towards Maya, there will be distraction in your spiritual life. When the distraction happens, destruction happens.
Destruction of our spiritual practices.
Spiritual life, yeah.
Means it will be covered, of course.
Yeah, it will be covered, yeah. Very well.
Thank you very much. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki
jai. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, devotees. We'll meet again tomorrow morning.